Hi, good evening. It's Matt Garrett here. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we've got a room full of people. I've not actually looked at the numbers yet. Okay, I'm not going to ramble on a long time tonight, and it's Friday night, so it's the weekend coming up. What you really need to know is the only thing you need to know really is this app that John is going to show you works. I came across it myself a few months ago and started testing it out, and every site that I've used it on has had a dramatic a boost in the rankings for my targeted keywords. It's also brought in extra keywords to rank that I wasn't targeting as well. So it has a double effect. Basically, this app works. The guys behind it really know what they're doing. So I wanted to get them onto this training session, or John specifically, to show you what it does and why it works. Because it's really important to understand the background of why it's working, because it is how Google are looking at sites to rank them nowadays. There are a couple of other bits I want to say. Obviously, this is a training session where it's worth making sure you've got your phone switch off Facebook, keep distractions to a minimum. Grab a pen and paper so you can take some notes, or open a text pad because you will end up wanting to take some notes. One other point, as I said, I've been using this on a couple of my sites, and it's had such a big effect that I'm actually now setting up a local business agency to use this as the agency software and offer it to clients, because that is one of the options that John will be going through as well tonight. And it's such an effective way of helping people, small businesses, in the current climate, that I want to get it out there and helping other people with it. Okay, so that's really the introduction. John, are you there? I'd like to hand across to you, if I may.
Yeah.
And please show my people what you have, because I think it is an amazing piece of software, and I think they're going to learn a lot about how it works and why Google ranks for this.
Okay. Well, very cool. Yeah. Welcome on here, everybody. I was happy to get on here with Matt and show you what I got. It's pretty cool. Today, when you're operating in the SEO field, it's not like it used to be. It's almost like the Terminator movie, where we're against the machines. And so I kind of titled this webinar "Beating the Machine." And basically, you got to ask yourself, when links stop working, when on-page optimization stops working, and you're getting beaten, what is your next move? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Or actually, it's tonight for a lot of you guys. It's the end of our day out here in Southern California. But anyway, I got a lot of really cool stuff to share with you. I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. I'll share a little bit more about that. But more importantly, just showing you guys what's working and how to get the most out of it. So one of the things here, let's see, let me get my screen live. We're going to talk about like high search volume keywords. These, as most of you know, are worth a lot of money, and especially if you're talking about buyer keywords. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with buyer keywords, that's a keyword that leads to a sale. It's not like there's tire kicker keywords, and there's beginning of process keywords, and then there's actual buyer keywords. Now, what most people kind of get backwards is they want to shoot for keywords that have the most search volume that are not necessarily buyer keywords, and that's a mistake. You want to be in on the last search, not the first search. When somebody starts searching, they usually start with a generic keyword, and in the SEO space, a lot of us want to go for those just because we see those big numbers. And it's not true. That's not the keywords you want. You want the buyer keywords that are the long tail keywords on the end, when the person has the credit card in hand and they're ready to make a purchase. Those are the ones I'm talking about. And those are the ones that, everybody's really, really super focused on getting. And, the problem with these is very few people, at least at this point in time, know how to rank for these keywords. It's like nobody knows how to do this anymore. And that's what I'm going to share with you, because we've been keeping on the front edge of this and kind of leading the pack in how to do this. So that's what we're going to get into. We know how to do this, and we've shared this with a lot of our students. I've taught SEO for many years, And we actually, one of the things I'm going to share with you today is a tool we actually built to do this. And we've shared that with our students, and they are just kicking butt with this thing. Like this is one, he said all of our keywords in the top 10 on page 1 of Google. You know, this is a student of ours, Andrew. Here's another one here. This is a SEM Rush report. This was from a little earlier, actually in mid last year, July last year, of one of our students with a day spa. Just started hitting this thing, and as soon as he changed modes and did what we told him, his traffic just went straight up. And this is very common. This is another one in the water sports arena. Here's one in life insurance. Now what you see here, you see his traffic, and this isn't a real high volume site, but it's in a very, very competitive niche. I mean, life insurance, if you're going after life insurance, you know what I'm talking about. This is really, really competitive. He just about doubled his traffic here in just a very short time frame, and then kept it at that level, you know, without any issues. So that in itself is really a feat to perform. For you to double your life insurance traffic, even though it's a small amount, to double it is really something to talk about. So here's something too. I wanted to share this with you guys. This was a law firm, and this is something that happens a lot. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing what we're doing today or whether you're link building or you're doing on page. I see this very, very typically, and it's a lot of people call it the Google dance. So what happens is over here, you do something to change. Maybe you start adding links, maybe you change the content of your site, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Google gives you this initial bump. They'll like push you up, and then all of a sudden, sometimes this will ride on for a while, sometimes it just goes up and then right back down. What they're trying to do, this is actually a patent that Google has. They have a patent on this algorithm, and I knew this intuitively before I proved it. If any of you are in the SEO space, you might know Dory Friend. She actually proved this out. I had told her, and she went to work and actually proved that I was right. And they have a trap. It's an algorithm that's a trap for SEO guys to catch you. And what they do when they see something that's shifted or changed, basically they pull the rug out from under you temporarily by fault. They do it on purpose. And what they're doing is they're doing it to see if you change back. Like let's say this big bump here where it goes up and then down. What happens here, they give you the rank, and then they pull the rug out from under you. Now, if you're an SEO guy and you did something over here to cause that rise, and then you see the fall, a lot of times they'll freak out and they'll go and they'll put it back. Now, if you put it back, Google just caught you in their trap. It's their trap. So if you just leave things the way they were, it'll just kind of go along, and then it will go back naturally to where they thought it should be. So that's what's called a Google dance. Some people call it a sand trap. You know, it's called many different things, but I'm telling you, it's real. If you've done SEO for any amount of time, I'm sure you've seen it. You might just not have known what it was, but that's a real thing right there. So here's some other results that we've seen, and you can see this site here, Bikini Waxing Point Loma. They started on page 8, and all of a sudden they dropped. And because they didn't change, they bounced around, and then look what happened. They popped right up to the first page, went along, kind of bounced around and stuck. And same thing with here. Here's another one from a marketing company. They were on page 2. They dropped all the way to page 7 when they made this shift that I'm going to show you guys. So initially, it looked like it was a negative impact. And then it bounced around, and look at what happened. Popped up to number 1. Again, this was like a few months down the road. It dropped. They pulled the rug right out from under them. Again, it was that Google dance, which is a trap. They wanted to know, if we pull the rug out here, are they going to make a shift? And since we didn't shift, boom, right back to the top. So you'll see this. This is a very common thing. It doesn't matter what kind of SEO you're doing. This is something that you're going to see. And the whole thing about this, when you see this drop, make sure you do not change course. If you're building links at a certain velocity, keep on building your links at the same velocity. Do not change directions. If you've changed your on-page content, don't flip it back, leave it alone. Let it ride out the storm. I guarantee you, if you change because of what Google did, they're going to catch you, and you're not going to like the outcome of it. So be very, very careful with that. So as you guys know, we talked about this a little bit just a couple minutes ago about SEO not being the same, about links not working anymore and on-page not working like it used to. Now that stuff still works, but it doesn't work like it used to. It used to put you at the top and it would hold you there and keep you there. But basically, the traditional SEO that we all know from the last 20 years or so, it really has taken a shift. And what's happened is, you see, if you run a search for almost anything right now, you'll see the top of the search is dominated by big brands. Google specifically is favoring these big brands, and it's because of this machine learning. We're really fighting a machine here. And as we go through, I'm going to show you how that's happening, why it's happening, and what we can do about it. But it really is happening, and that the fact of the matter is that what it's learning that it thinks it should favor these big brands, and that's what's going on. So you're going to see that a lot. Like, you run a search for almost any product and you're going to see Amazon at the top. You run a search for anything to do with real estate, you're going to see the big realtor sites at the top. You don't see the little guys on the first page anymore. Very rare. If you're searching for anything related to your home, it's going to be Home Depot, Lowe's, all these big national chains. They are getting favored tremendously. And it's really unfair. It's, if you're a little guy and you don't have that brand recognition, it's just incredibly unfair. But I'll show you how to level the playing field. So I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm going to share a story here about Rand Fishkin. He's one of the guys from SEO Moz. He did an experiment. This was actually a few years ago when the machine learning stuff started happening. And he did a thing to prove that navigational search had a direct correlation to ranking, and that click-throughs had a direct correlation to ranking. And the way he did it, he had a massive audience, and he tweeted out to his audience and asked them to participate in a test. And he did this test basically at 6:03 p.m. And he had a website that was ranked on number 7 on the first page of Google for IMEC Lab. So what he did, he tweeted out to his followers and he said, hey guys, can you go to Google, do me a favor, go to Google and type in IMEC Lab, click the return button, and then go down and find my moz.com domain and click on it. Just click on it. So he had all his followers do this, and he tweeted this out at 6:03, and he was in the number 7 spot. And the next thing, he did another screenshot just 3 hours later at 9 o'clock. So this was basically 9:01, so just a little bit less than 3 hours later. And look at that, he's number 1. In 3 hours, it pushed his site to the top. And that was from users actually sending signals into Google. It was user experience signals. And that is what's going on today. Google is favoring those signals over linking. Linking is still important to get you on the first or second page, but it's not going to drive you to the top anymore and hold you there like it used to. There's a lot more going on, and I'm going to share there's 5 big signals, big triggers for Google that we've identified out of their their patents and their algorithms. So it's artificial intelligence. If you guys wondered what the RankBrain algorithm was all about, this is it. It's artificial intelligence. It's the machine. Google has literally become an AI machine to figure out what users want. And they're looking at the signals to do that. That's how they're figuring it out. So it starts with a search. Somebody goes to the search bar and they type something in, and then they make a selection out of the 10 that come up on the page. They're basically voting. They're sending a signal to Google that, hey, I think this was the best one of the choices you gave me. Google's AI learns from that. And the more people that click on a particular link, the more signals is sent to Google to say, hey, that should be the one that goes to the top because that's the one the users are choosing. So it's really, they're taking the data right out of the users. It's not really about the links anymore. The links got you there. Now, if you're starting out and you're just doing SEO from scratch, don't think that what I'm telling you is going to be the only thing that you have to do. It's not. You still have to do the SEO game. You still have to create good content. You still have to do your own page, and you still have to get people to link to it so Google puts it on their radar and gets you on the board to begin with. But these AI signals, this is like the magic sauce that's going to push you to the top and keep you there. It's really, really a strong signal at this point. So I'm going to show you how we do this. I'm going to show you how we easily rank those buyer keywords we talked about. And the way I'm going to show you how we do it, we can do it with absolutely no fear of penalty. Like in the SEO space, penalty is always a big concern. Like, oh man, if I do this, am I going to get penalized? We've been doing this for years, and there's no way you can get penalized from it. Everybody thinks you can, but if you do it correctly, there's a way to do it right and there's a way to do it wrong. And I'm going to show you the wrong way too, so you can not do that. But if you're doing it right, there's literally zero fear of penalty in this. So our new strategy, what it does, it trains RankBrain to help you rank. And the way I'm going to show you how we do it, it takes less than 2 minutes. I mean, I say 2 minutes. I've actually seriously done it in less. And I'll show you exactly what I have to do it. And you can see, it takes a little time to do your keyword research. You're not doing that in 2 minutes. But once you know what you want to rank for and to actually put it in motion, it's literally about 2 minutes to get it up and running, get a campaign up running. So let me tell you who you're talking to. I'm John Limbacher, and Matt had introduced me, but also I work with Chris Ormiston, and together we've been doing SEO since before it even had a name. We've done it for some very big companies. We've been at it for a very long time, and we've also developed software and automation to do what we do. So we're kind of the guys that look at patents and figure stuff out, and Chris has an amazing team of developers that can develop software and automated processes behind the scenes. So we've been working together on this project, and we have come up with just an absolutely amazing solution to this problem of these search signals. So I'm going to share that with you. There's some of the clients that we've ranked, along with hundreds, if not thousands, of small companies. Especially if you count the students that we've taught how to do this. It's literally thousands of sites and rankings that we've been attributed to. But here is an example also. When Google is machine learning, this is another thing that's happening besides just your search listings, besides the ranking behind the scenes. This is like a cherry on top. When somebody starts typing in a search phrase, Google is looking at the past data it has from other users of what they clicked on when they started that search phrase. So Google knows that based on wrestling shoes, there's a lot of people that will ultimately type in wrestling shoes near me. They also know that a lot of them will type in Nike or Shoes for Youth or Big Five, which is another brand. ASICs. Well, this Nike and ASICs, these were two customers that were working with Chris, and he actually ran this, and we didn't expect this. We were trying to get the rank for them, but we did not expect them to get this right here. When Google recommends you in the drop-down, this is called Google Suggest. When Google suggests this, people are much more likely to click down here than to continue typing. So somebody might have been looking for, you know, some obscure, like they might have been looking for, you know, some weird shoe, and then all of a sudden the Nike comes up or the ASICS comes up. And then when they click on that, the whole page is basically now branded to ASICS. It's all their social media. What it does, it eliminates the competition off the page. So when you can get your brand connected to your keyword, it will prompt people to click on that link, and then what happens is you now have eliminated your competitors off that whole page because it's all your properties. You know, if you've done your optimization correctly, you've got all your social media pages optimized. So when somebody searches for a keyword plus your brand or your domain or your, you know, your brand names or whatever, all your stuff, you're going to dominate. You're going to dominate that page. So that's a really good thing to try and do. And so now what we'll do, we'll start talking a little bit about cracking the code. This is more into the patents, and you know, this stuff, when you look at at codes and patents, I mean, my eyes just kind of glaze over. It looks like this gobbledygook. And I got a couple of guys that what they do, they know how to read this stuff. They know how to read through a patent. It will absolutely just put me to sleep. But they go through and they highlight stuff, and when they highlight it, they give it back to me, and then I can decipher what it means. I don't have the patience to go through and highlight all this stuff, but I can decipher when they do that for me. And what I realized off the newest patents for the Google algorithm for the rank brain, it comes up, and Google actually says this now. They talk about natural language patterns, NLP. They actually refer to NLP. Now, NLP has a whole nother meaning for neuro-linguistic programming, and you know, in the whole Tony Robbins world and all that. But if you look at it, they've almost replicated the NLP modeling out of that world into their algorithm because they know it's human nature. It's natural language patterns. So it's fascinating what they've done. So when I got the stuff highlighted back, I realized what had come to the top was navigational search. You know, of all the types of searches that were going on and being looked at, navigational search kind of percolated to the top. That was like one of the most important things that we learned out of the patents. And we learned a whole lot more about what that meant. For those of you that don't know what a navigational search is, a navigational search is somebody that's doing a search very specifically. And that boils back down to those buyer keywords. And Google has figured out how to identify those and how to figure out who belongs at the top. So navigational search is only about 10% of the whole search volume out there. But Google has figured out how to identify it and who those keywords should belong to, who belongs at the top for those. So here's some of the stuff that is important to understand about natural language patterns when it comes to the Google algorithm. It represents user search behavior, not just real user search behavior. They understand bots. They are not counting what the bots are doing because the bots are doing unnatural things and they can easily filter that out. So natural language patterns represents real search behavior from real users. And what it does, it shows the user's intent. Like if a user starts a search for how to play the guitar, the intent winds up being they're looking for guitar lessons. So Google's natural language patterns is figuring that out. It's figuring out what's the intent of every search. That way they can put the right search result up and they can get the person to where they want to go faster. That's what they want to do. It shows popularity via search versus links. We used to have links as our popularity tool. That was how we showed Google who was most important, was who had the most links was the most popular. Well, that only works in the very beginning of SEO now. It won't hold you there. It won't keep you there. It will put you up on the boards basically so they can split test you. They're looking at natural language patterns of who gets clicked when they're put up and what happens on the other side of that click. Like, how long do the users stay? Do they bounce off? Do they pogo stick back to another search and go to another place? So pogo sticking is a term I'll talk about in a little while, but it's a very important term in today's methodology of SEO. So the fourth one there is, this shows Google who belongs at the top. When the users are voting, the users are literally casting a vote here based on these natural language patterns to manipulate Google's machine into deciding who's going to be at the top. And the last one there, this is the kind of stuff that you could not manipulate. Like, linking is very easy to manipulate. On page is very easy to manipulate. But getting real users to behave in a certain way, that's almost impossible to manipulate, but we figured out how to do it. So that's why I put the in red down there, the until now, because we've got a way to actually do this now naturally. So it's really cool. But it is absolutely true. These natural language patterns, this is what's influencing Google's algorithm. This is what's driving it. This is why the small user doesn't have a chance against the big guys, because the big guys have these natural language patterns already built in. People know about them. They know about their brand, and they're running brand searches. So you're up against that, which makes it an incredibly unfair game. And I'll show you how to level the playing field there. So when we look at the rank factors, it used to just be the top two. It used to just be on page and authority backlinks. But now you notice we have it broken into three. And I truly believe that natural language patterns, I believe that third, I think it's bigger than a third. I think it's probably half the algorithm. It's not the whole thing, but I think it's the most important factor right now if you want to rank at the top and stay there. So this is why SEO is been so hard. It's like, have you ever felt like this little guy trying to push the boulder up the hill? That's what SEO tends to feel like these days if you don't know this stuff. If you continue to try and do what you've always done, SEO has just become an impossible game. Eventually you'll tire and you'll give up and you'll go on to something else, like most of the SEO guys have done already. They've moved on to greener pastures. They couldn't figure it out. They can't fight the big, the Home Depots and the Realtor.com and Amazon. They just don't know how to battle that anymore. So when you learn how these patterns work, this is going to make SEO a whole lot easier for you. There's 5 of these new NLP triggers. The triggers have been around and they've been talked about for a long time, but not the 5 that I'm going to expose today. Everybody knows about click-through ratio. I mean, that's been talked about for the last several years. Everybody's been talking about bounce rate. Everybody's been talking about time on site. But I'm going to talk about these 5 new natural language pattern triggers that make up a third. I believe it's at least a third of that algorithm, that rank brain algorithm. And like I said, I truly think it's probably more, but let's just call it a third for sake of easy math. So here's the 5 new triggers. One of them is searches from actual mobile devices. If you just have searches from desktop devices, there's a lot of people in the past 5 years or so that learned how to run bounce signals off of desktops. They never got it out on mobile devices though. So Google has recognized that if they're looking for natural patterns, they're coming from mobile devices. They also recognize that proximity search is a big thing, especially for local businesses. Like if you're a local business, people on their cell phones within a certain geographical area running brand searches for you, that is a massive trigger. If you have that going for you, you're going to outrank your competitors. Navigational searches, like I talked about before, the navigational search is a very specific search. Like instead of just pizza, searching for pizza near me, let's say I wanted to run a very specific navigational type search, I might run a search called like Pizza Hut near me and menu specifically, like Pizza Hut menu in Huntington Beach. I live in Huntington Beach. So if I were to put that search in, what I'm telling Google is not only do I know the vendor, Pizza Hut, and I know what I want a pizza, and I want it in my local neighborhood, I'm telling them specifically I want the menu. I know they have a menu on the site, and that's the page I'm looking for. That is a navigational search. When you give Google a search like that, they know exactly what you want, and they're going to put it up. So if your site doesn't have searches like that going on for it, you're not giving it these triggers, so their AI is not figuring that you're very important. That's where the big brands are getting the favor. That's why it's become unfair, because people know their name. They're adding brand search. That is the biggest thing that has made it unfair to the little guys, is the fact that Google's identified brand as being important. Now, I knew this was going to be a factor when the Penguin algorithm hit and they went after anchor text, because that was one of the first thing I recognized when the smoke cleared and I looked at who had come to the top. It was all big brands. That was my first clue, and that was almost, what, 10 years ago? It was almost 10 years ago. And I recognized that brand was going to be a major important factor in SEO back then. So now it's come full circle. It is one of the most powerful triggers you can have, is connecting your brand to keywords and driving people to your site to show Google you are the one that they want. And then revise search combining brand. That's what I referred to before as pogo sticking. Pogo sticking, basically, that is what happens when a searcher runs a search, clicks on a website, and pogo sticks back to the search, and then pogo sticks back to another website. And they do that back and forth. Ultimately, the pogo sticker will land on something, dig in, dig their heels in, get the content they wanted, and then leave. So Google does not like the pogo sticking. They want to deliver the right result the first time. So they hate it even more when it's on their own site, because what it tells them is, it tells them, hey, we did the wrong thing here. We sent the wrong person, or we sent the right person to the wrong result. So when people pogo stick off your site, that's sending a bad signal. They're looking for the site they land on at the end of the rainbow. So I'll show you how we really take advantage of that and really maximize that factor here in a minute. But when you do this right, when you get these signals in right, what happens is it gives you incredible trust. Google trusts your site, and it equates to top Google rankings. The reason I put that picture of the harbor with all the boats there, when you increase the trust level, it's like the tide rising. All the ships in the harbor rise with the tide. Your keywords are the same. You could be ranking for hundreds of keywords back on page 2, 3, 4 and not even be aware of it. When Google rises your trust, it's going to rise all of your keywords behind the scenes. Like you've heard in the beginning of this, that using this technique actually brought up a bunch of keywords that weren't even focused on to begin with in the project. And that's exactly what can happen. You can wind up, you get this right, you could wind up ranking for literally hundreds of keywords, depending on your site and how much content you have and all that. But you could literally rank for hundreds of keywords. It's really, really, really powerful. And I just want to show you a testimonial that came through. This was a user of our software that was using this technique, and they sent this. It said, you know, please excuse my language, but holy shit, are you guys responsible for this? And he says, I hope my rank tracking software isn't malfunctioning. LOL. This is what he sent us. This was a screenshot of his ranking in the past 30 days. This is new listings for keywords in the top 50 that were not there 30 days ago. And you notice there's like 84 on this page, and then that's not the end. Here's a second page. It's up to 173, and then that's not it either. There's a third page. It's over 200 keywords that he was ranking on, you know, on that first top of Google in 30 days. These were not keywords that he was focused on. This is an example of the rising tide of trust and authority in Google and what can happen outside of that. So really, really cool. So this is what you need to have happen. You need to have users with mobile devices running searches, pushing those signals to your site. And if you do this, what's going to happen is it's going to push your listing up. You're going to get more listings, more traffic, more leads, more sales, and more profits. And that really is the golden goose of SEO. That's why we're all here. That's why we do what we do. And it's just become a hard game. But if you can get these users, real users, running these searches, pogo sticking on Google, sending the signals in that you are the one that they wanted, that's going to drive your listings to the top. Now, obviously, you're going to need a lot of these. It's going to take, especially if you're in a competitive niche and you've got, you know, your other competitors might be getting hundreds of these search signals naturally. So for you to compete, you're going to have to compete on the same level. You're going to have to get hundreds of these as well. So that's where Chris and I went to work, and his team actually developed a software. We built a machine, and we call it SitePop. And that's what we use. That's like our secret weapon. That's how we can do SEO now. And I'm not going to say without link building. You still need link building. But this is the machine that we use to put that authority on top. So the links get us up, and then this will drive us to the top and keep us there. So that's what we did. We've got SitePop. It provides all 5 of those NLP triggers. Every one of those is what this thing is doing. And that is basically, we're taking advantage of a third of the algorithm that most people have no control over. And as far as I know, I've never seen any other tool do this. There's other tools out there that claim to do similar things, but they don't. Remember what I talked about in the beginning. There's ways to do this right, and there's ways to do it wrong. The wrong way to do it is to do it with robots. The wrong way to do it is to do it with automatic stuff that doesn't look natural. You know, using proxy servers and, you know, all this crap that Google knows about. They're not stupid, guys. They're very, very sophisticated. They're probably one of the most sophisticated teams of tech on the planet. They understand what real users look like, and they understand what robots look like. So if you're using other automated software to try and do this, they're going to be on to you. And it's not necessarily that they're going to penalize you, because most penalties come from on-page factors, not off-page factors. That's a big farce in the industry. You know, a lot of people think that, you know, if they have too many links, they're going to get penalized. You don't get penalized for those. Google, the worst thing they'll do is they'll just take away the ranking factors that they gave you originally for it. There's no negative. It's just, it's a one-sum game. So either they're giving you authority or they're taking it away. They're not giving you negative. You're just going to go back to where you were before you had it. So I've seen this over and over, and it cracks me up when people think they're worse off for links. They just lose the authority. They see their rank drop and they think they got penalized. Google just took away what they gave them originally. So anyway, that's kind of the story behind that. This is what our user network looks like. We have these devices all over the country. In fact, we've got them all over the world. These are real cell phones. These are Android devices on real people's cell phones that are doing the work for us. It's real users. We've got them all over the world. This map, I actually made this print out of this map about 6 months ago. If I were to run this again today, all you'd see is water, because the pins would just be all over the place. We've got I think we've got almost 10,000 devices in the network now all over the world. So again, these are real user devices that make up the network. There's no bots, there's no proxies, there's none of that stuff. It's real cell phones, real devices, real computers. Each one of them runs natural search signals. They run roughly about 17 searches per day per device. So any given cell phone in the network, it's running roughly about 17 searches a day. It's running them based on proximity of the website it's promoting. Like if you notice, we've got the target over here. If your website was in the middle, there's a whole bunch of users in here that are close to you that are going to run the most searches. And then when you go out 5 to 10 miles, it's going to be less users. And then you go out 25 miles and it's going to be less users. And we basically will send searches from all over, like all over the country. You'll even get naturally some searches from other countries. It will be completely randomized though, and it'll be completely natural. The other thing that we do is we perform the majority of the searches in local time based on the business. We're not running searches, at a steady pace 24/7. We don't do that. That would be unnatural. That's what bots do. That's not what people do. We're replicating what real people do on real people's devices. So that's, when I say there's no way to identify this, there's no way to like identify us as a machine network, because we're not. We're a network of real users with real devices doing real natural search signals. So there's really no way to filter us out. We've got an army of these computers, an army of users to send these search signals to Google. And that's what we've built. That's what SitePop is. And here's some examples of local listings. This is a computer network technician for training in San Diego. And again, they started on page 5. They dropped. And then boom, right to the top. And pretty well stuck there. Here's another one. This is bikini waxing. Same thing. They ran along. This was interesting. Nothing happened for a while. Nothing happened for a few weeks here, and then it dropped. Now, when this happens, usually people freak out. But then, you ride out the storm, and boom, right back up to the top. Here's one. They took a little drop in the beginning, but they pretty much just went up and stuck there. SEO is all over the board. You're going to see all kinds of different things happen in different industries, different niches. There is no set solid guidelines for SEO. Every keyword I've ever seen reacts differently. So, but for the most part, you will see these bounces around, and then like this one never got to page 1, or it never got to page 1. It just got up to page 2. What's probably going on here, I would basically venture to say they probably don't have very good on-page content. If they up their on-page content, this would probably bump them up to number 1. Here's one. This one just did flat nothing but went right to the top. Orthodontist, Valencia, California. There probably wasn't very much competition out there. This is a fairly rural area. But here's one, this is more in commerce. You know, this is Duramax power steering lines. Yeah, I can guarantee you, you're going to sell a hell of a lot more of these on page 1 than you sell on page 6 of Google. That's like where they hide the dead bodies on page 6. So that's where you want to be. You want to be up here on page 1 to sell your stuff. This right here, that's a buyer keyword. Somebody looking to buy a Duramax power steering line, they don't search that just for fun. They're looking for something to buy. Here's one, Valencia Invisalign. That's another rural area. And again, they popped right to the top. Here's chiropractors and Normal. Normal, again, that's a little rural city. So this works really, really good in those. But don't think it only works on local listings. You know, here's a national listing for profitable investing. I mean, that's a pretty tough keyword. These guys were on page 4 and they'd been there forever. And, you know, their original thing, they dropped. They were way worse for the wear. But then at some point, look at what happened. Boom, right to the top. This is what happens when Google raises their trust and their authority. That's the result. That's what can happen. Here's another one. This is a national listing. This is for, I believe this is for like semiconductors. Wayne Connect, it's a real niche type of keyword, but it's a money keyword. So again, they went from page 8 up to page 1. They sell a lot more on page 1 than they sell on page 8. Now this one actually blew my mind. This is the mesothelioma. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I always have trouble with that one. But for the symptoms of that, this is an attorney buying this type of keyword, and they're paying hundreds of dollars per click for this in the pay-per-click. It doesn't get any more competitive than this. This company was on page 11 when they started, and they went right to the top, they dropped, and then right to the top, and they stuck there. And this wasn't an anomaly. This is another keyword. This is I don't even know what this means, but it's a very important keyword for this. It's an asbestos lung disease. And basically, they've already won the court case, so all the attorney has to do is find somebody that's got this disease, and it's an automatic win in the court because the court's already decided the case. All they have to do is find somebody with this, and it's $1 million in their pocket. That's why it's so incredibly competitive. So anyway, it works for that kind of stuff. Here's another one, prognosis. Same thing in that mesothelioma category. That's 3 keywords right to the top in one of the most competitive niches around. Now, guys, I don't want you to think that what we're showing you is going to do this alone. These guys had spent years and years link building and creating content and doing SEO to the best of their abilities, only to get on page 12. It was adding the extra third in that did this for them. It took them to the top. So how does it work? What does it actually do? Like, what do these devices that we have that I'm talking about do? They run automatically. All you do is install our app on your Android phone, or it actually works on desktop devices too. You install the app, you create a campaign in the back side, and you put in your keywords. So when the app is running, what happens is all of these phones out here in the world have our apps on them. They automatically start up based on a script that sends out information from our server and connects with all these devices all over the place. So here's what it does. It performs a search for your keyword on someone else's device, someone else's phone. In the back side is running a keyword search for you. The user never sees this happen. It runs behind the scenes in a headless browser. So it runs a search on Google for your keyword. It scrolls the search results. This is the search engine results pages. That's what SERP stands for. So it scrolls through Google looking for your domain. If it doesn't find you in the first 5 pages, then it goes back, it pogo sticks It pogo sticks back to Google and it revises the search and adds your brand, and it runs the search again. This is what's important about this. That shows Google they didn't find what they were looking for. Google hates this. They hate it, especially when it happens on their own site. So somebody that doesn't find what they were looking for and they have to go back and get more specific with Google, that sends a signal to the machine, hey, we didn't do a very good job here. We need to pay attention. What does this person want? And that takes us to the second step. Once it adds your brand and it reruns that search, it finds your domain usually at the top then, and it clicks on the link to visit your website. Not only does it do that click, it spends time on several of your pages randomly. Like it looks at your internal linking and it starts clicking in deeper and going to different pages on your site. Ultimately, it's going to land on your contact page. It's going to stay there for a few minutes randomly, somewhere between 1 and 4 minutes, and then it's going to close the session. What that means is it actually closes the browser window. So by closing the session, that shows Google you found what you were looking for, and they love that. That is the most positive search signal you could send to Google, is exactly what I just laid out there. And you can imagine how much trouble it would be for you to try and get this to happen manually. It would be almost impossible. If you had 100, let's say you had 1,000 friends, and you could get them all to do this, you'd have a shot. But I think we all know that's probably not going to happen. So here's some key features of the SitePop software, what it does. It typically ranks what we call traction keywords really, really fast. Now, a traction keyword is something that you rank for on page 2 or 3 or even the bottom of page 1. It will boost those up really quickly. It's not going to rank you for keywords you never ranked for before and you don't deserve to rank for. Don't think it's some magic potion that's going to solve all your problems. It's not. It's the third of the algorithm that if you're doing SEO and it's difficult, it's the third you're missing. It's going to fix that. If you're doing SEO for customers, one of the biggest key features here is it's going to keep your customers longer because your work is actually going to work for them. It's fully automated. Once you set it up, it's doing its thing in the backside, all on autopilot. We have, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but we have a white labeled version of those for agencies. If you sell SEO services, I'll show you, we have an option for you to do that under a white label type of situation. It has real-time reporting because right on the app, right on the person's phone, they can see where they rank. And it gives you full control of your campaign. So you can switch your keywords out pretty much at will anytime you want. You have full control over the campaign there, so there's no problem there. So let's talk about setting up a project. A project basically means a domain. And this is a project where you're gonna try and rank some keywords on a particular site. You can use up to 12 keywords. You can use multiple brand variations. It creates a project code that you put into the device. Like when you put the app on your phone, basically it asks you for the project code. That connects your phone to that project, which allocates 250 searches out of our network for that project during the month. So every phone you connect, we can give you up to 250 searches a month for. That's how we do it. That's how, we can't give you searches if you don't have a phone connected, so you're searching for other people in the network. And when I say you're searching for them, the thing's doing it all on autopilot. You just install the app and cut it loose. So here's how to set up a project. This is an actual screenshot of our page to set up a project. You give it a name, you give it a domain, you don't put the HTTP in. You tell it the contact page of your site so it knows which page to land on last. You can put in up to 12 keywords. And I believe you can put up to 5 brand variations. A brand variation would be like the name of your company, the name of your domain, maybe your name. If you're a doctor or dentist, those are brand names as well. And then you can allocate how many searches that you want to come to this project from the network. Over here, there's a device calculator. Based on how many searches, it will tell you how many devices you have to connect to get that many searches. Now, in all of our in our lower version, our pro version, it defaults here to 500. When you get into our agency version, you can actually allocate however many searches you want. But you still have to have the right number of projects connected to get that. So, and then here, the next step is to add your address or the address of the company that you want to promote, and it will automatically fill in the latitude, longitude, and the time zone. That way it knows where to geolocate, and it starts looking for the closest devices around to hit it first. And then here, this is a screenshot we call, on the front we call it Marketing Assistant. That's the white label, so nobody really knows. It's called SitePop behind the scenes. And it shows the agency details, the keywords, and where they're ranking. So who benefits from this? I think this is a ridiculous slide because you guys probably know that only everyone will benefit from this. Anybody that's got a website, anyone that wants more sales. And again, you know, imagine controlling the best traffic on the planet, competing with major brands, having something no one else has, and getting sites to rank when no one else can. And you can't get this anywhere else. So does it really work? I think I've probably proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt. But we've got like testimonial after testimonial after testimonial for people that have been using this for the last year, and it's just been a winner for all of them. You know, the only one I've seen a few people it didn't work for, and they didn't use it correctly. But you could do this. I talked about doing this the wrong way. You could get micro workers to do these search signals for you. But then you've got the nightmare of managing them. Can you imagine managing 500 micro workers to do these searches for you, and what it would cost you? If you were doing micro workers in India, it's about 25 cents a piece. So each project would cost you 125 bucks a month to have 500 searches. And that's what we found is really a sweet spot to move the needle, is 500 searches a month for a project. And for you to do that with our network, you just connect 2 devices and it's done. Here, you'd have to manage 500 micro workers and pay them each 25 cents a piece, cost you 125 bucks a month. Plus, this is the killer, the time to manage it all. So that'd take your 125 up probably to 1,000. If you factor in all the time it would take to do this. Well, what if I told you we could give you 500 searches a month for under 30 bucks and automate the process? That's what we've done with SitePop. And it's going to be even better for you guys because we've got the pro version here where you can do 10 projects at $297. And usually that's $297 a month. But what we're doing is we're actually dropping that. If that were the price, that would be $30 a month. That's our normal price for this. We're actually dropping the price for you guys after the first month. You still pay the $297 to get in right now, but after that, we're dropping it to $97 a month. So that takes you down to under $10 a project for 500 searches. That is crazy. And we're doing you one better. We're actually adding another huge bonus on top of that for you guys that get in right now. This is only going to be till tomorrow night at midnight. But if you get in on this, it's $297 right now, and you're going to get 3 months of service for free. We're going to give you, for the $297, we're going to give you the first 3 months for free, and then after that, it's only $97 a month. So you'll never pay the $297 monthly. It's just the first month, and then you're going to get to ride for three months for free. and then you're going to go to 97, and that's a lifetime. You will lock that price in for life. It's just 97 a month after that. Now, I had talked about an agency version of this. If any of you guys are doing agency work and you're doing SEO for other companies, you can do 50 projects, up to 50 projects here, and it's $4.97 a month on this one. But for those of you that are on here, it's $4.97 the first month, and again, we're going to give you 3 months free, and then we're knocking your monthly price down to $197. So you're going to get 50 of these projects for $197 a month after your first 3 months. That's like, what, $4 a piece? You can sell these projects as a local SEO boost service to local companies for 97 bucks a month all day long. It's a total bargain for them to push their sites to the top. Most of them are spending a fortune on SEO to get to the second page. You can come in and offer them a boost service for 97 bucks a month. It's costing you about $4 and you're selling it for 100. That's a crazy markup for something that you can, for the most part, automate. And again, this offer is only going to be till tomorrow at midnight. We're taking that off the table after that. We'll still let you have it for the $197 a month. It's $4.97 the first month, and then it'll drop to $197. But we're not going to do the 3 months free after tomorrow at midnight. So if you want to get in on this, the link to order this is internetdominators.com/Matt. This is a special offer for all of you guys that Matt has invited on here. So this is just for you guys. 3 months free, and then that locked-in price, depending on which level you go for, and that's going to lock in for life. We're never going to raise the price on you. So here, the massive bonus number one is the 3 months free. That's on top of the price reduction. So again, that's going to save you, depending on which level, that's going to save you between $300 and $600 getting those extra months for free. Bonus number two, I'm going to do a live webinar for everybody that gets on here. I'm going to do a live webinar next week for you guys, and I'm going to go through like the best case studies, how to get the absolute best out of this. That is really going to be a huge value for you guys. I'm going to show you how to find the best keywords. I'm going to show you, what we've been doing for our clients. I'm going to show you 2 different strategies that you can use this for different purposes in SEO. They both work phenomenally. It's just a couple of different ways that you can use it. So amazing training that's going to go on in this live webinar. And you'll have Q&A too. Any questions you've got about anything related to SEO and how to use SitePop to boost your sites, we'll be covering all of that. And then let's see here, we've got massive bonus number 3, and this is only for the agencies, and that's the white label that I had talked about before. We also have a WordPress template that's a funnel to sell this to clients. And if any of you are using Kartra, which Kartra is kind of like an automation, like a ClickFunnels or Infusionsoft, I have built out a full sales funnel in Kartra that I'll give you for free. I'll import it right into your account if you want it. And again, it's internetdominators.com/Matt for any of you guys. And for those of you that are on here still and you have questions, I'll do if you put them in the Q&A, I'll answer your questions here in just a minute. But I just want to talk to the agency guys here for a second.
Hi, John. I was just going to say, I put myself on mute there. I am still here. I've answered a couple of questions, but
okay, cool.
I'll keep an eye on them. I'll
Cool.
go back on mute.
Okay, awesome. But for you agency guys, if you don't want to have your customers deal with us, or maybe they only have one cell phone and you need 2 to get them the 500, you can pick up these burner phones at like Walmart or Target or Amazon. You can pick these up for under 30 bucks a piece now. All of these in the shopping cart that I'm showing you, I bought those for $19 a piece at Walmart. And I've been like loading up on them. And in my office, I found this really cool device from Amazon that I can plug them all in to keep them charged. So I've got like 4 of these things sitting in my office with just banks of cell phones running these searches for clients of mine. So it's pretty cool. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, because some of you are probably wondering, oh, well, you know, how do I do this and manage all these phones? And
I've got one of those sat in my office now as well, with 4 phones already running on it. They're really useful.
yeah, they're really cool. But, you know, everybody that I've talked to, like all my clients, when you tell them what you're doing, they all are ready to participate. They'll all put it on their phones. And, you know, we don't run it on iPhones anymore. We had that about a year ago. And iPhone just becomes such a pain in the butt for stopping processes on their phones. And we need it to run like all the time. So it's constantly in communication. So we got rid of the iOS devices, but it works perfectly fine on Android and also on desktop computers as well. So again, there's the pricing. You know, it's $197 for the agency per month after the first payment of the $497. And I really would, if you guys are going to get in on this, I really would encourage you to take advantage of that 3 months. That will give you enough time to, like, you know, play around with it, get to know it, test it, and actually get results and get somebody paying you for it. Even if you're on the pro level, you know, you could probably get somebody else to go in on that with you and just split the project. You know, you probably got friends that need SEO. Tell them, hey guys, you know, if you'll give me 50 bucks a month for this, get 2 of your friends to give you 50 bucks a month for that, and they're covering your costs, and then it's a free ride for you. I mean, it's seriously a no-brainer. You got 10 projects. You could give 2 of them to your friends to get them to pay for it for you. I mean, it really is a no-brainer. The only question, like this is a big question everybody asks me, is why is it so cheap? I mean, why are you literally giving it away? Because if you think about the price, we're literally giving this thing away at that price. If you look at what it cost us to develop this, and just, you know, the technology behind it, the hoops that we had to go through to make this work, why are we giving it away at that price? The answer is simple. It's very self-serving. It's to build the network. The more phones in the network, the stronger it becomes, and the better it is for our customers. The better it is for you, the better it is for your customers. So that's why we're doing it so cheap. We're not in this to make money on the software. We make money on our clients. You know, we're offering the software out to, you know, to cover our costs basically on the network and doing it, but really we want the results for our clients. That's what's really driving it. So basically there's the question you got to answer yourself. If you want to rank, it's pretty simple. You're missing a third and you need to patch that hole. That's a pretty big hole in your boat. If you guys are doing SEO and you're missing that third, this is the way to get it. internetdominators.com/Matt. And I really, really would, you know, I would push you guys, if you want to do this, we've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. You know, if you get in and you just, for whatever reason, you decide you don't like it in the first 30 days, just let us know. We're happy to refund you. It's not a problem. But seriously, take advantage of that 3-month free. That'll give you a good ramp up to start making money with this thing, and you should be golden after that, because this isn't going away anytime soon. These search signals are just getting started. You know, yeah, we've been using them for over a year, but in the scope of things and in the scope of where Google's going, they're just going more toward the search signals. It's not going the other way. So anyway, let me take a look at the Q&A here.
John, I'm also going to put together a special bonus for everybody that gets it as well. I've got a couple of tools that I use that are very, very useful for generating lots of content to create long content posts. Another tool that I use for on-page optimization to see what is done right and what you need to improve on a page. So I'm going to put together a report covering those two and a couple of the other areas that I believe you really need to look at with SEO, such as voice search and how to address that. So I'm going to put together a special bonus report that I'm going to give to people as well, just to help them. I've been doing SEO since, well, 2000, I think, when I first started ranking sites. And whilst I haven't done as much as I should over the last few years, I spent the last 2 or 3 months really catching up on stuff, hence coming across your app in the first place. So I'm going to put some of the best tips that I've come up with over that time into one report for people as an extra bonus as well.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, because like I said, you know, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea and think this is some kind of a magic bullet. It's not.
It's part of an overall picture, but it
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
real. The thing I love about it is it all used to be about backlinks, really. You know, the guys who could build out authority through massive amounts of backlinks always won. And that's no longer the case. It's leveling the playing field because it's not just about backlinks. It's giving something back to people who haven't built out hundreds of backlinks. There is a way that they can actually rank, especially long tail keywords for local and stuff like that, and push people up and boost them up, and offering that to local businesses. As you say, you know, they've got to page 2, they're stuck. This will just push them up to the first page. It is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy to sell. If you're in the business of providing SEO services, this is like one of the easiest sales that you're ever going to make. When I do the webinar next weekend, or actually next week, I will talk about that. I'll talk about like how we sell this to local companies, but it really is, it's a no-brainer because we don't sell it as a full SEO program. We sell it as an SEO boost service. So it'll take what they've already done. They don't have to change SEO providers. They don't have to change anything. They can just have you add this on top and it'll just boost their ranking up to where they want it to begin with. Because that's a big thing. A lot of local companies pay SEO providers that never get them to page 1. They keep paying and paying and paying because they know the value of it, but they just never get the result. So when you can come in and let's say they're paying, you know, $500 to $1,000 a month, most of them are paying a lot more than that. But if they're paying $500 to $1,000 a month and they've been doing that for a year and they didn't get there, and you come in and you say, hey, for 97 bucks, I can throw this thing on top. I'll actually guarantee that it works. And if it doesn't work in the first 90 days, I'll continue doing it for you for up to a year. That's how we position it. We'll continue the program at no cost to you for up to a year till we get you on the first page. And if you think about it, you collected $300, 3 months at $97. And if you have to do the progress or the program for a year for them, your cost is $4 a month. It costs you 48 bucks for 300. So you win even if you lose, and you're probably not going to lose if you do this right. If you do the keyword selection right and you use traction keywords, this should work. So really cool. Any other questions you can think of, or anything that's come in that didn't get addressed yet that you want me to take care of?
I think we're all good.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten really good at this presentation and kind of really hitting all the nails down on it. So
it helps that you know it inside out, and it helps that it's such a good proposition. I mean,
yeah.
It's easy. I mean, I used to sell software to lawyers, and I've worked for several different companies over the years. It's easy to sit in front of someone and present a piece of software when you know it actually works and does what it says, and it makes it so much more fun to actually do the work then.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. All right, well, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for having me on here, and we'll
Thank
get
you for doing the training for us, John. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope
yeah.
everybody's got real value out of this.
Yeah, and I am recording this, so I will get the replay up for anybody that wants to, some people might have hopped in late and missed some of it. So we'll get the
Fantastic.
replay up and we'll get it out for everybody. And I think we're all good.
Great stuff.
All
Thanks
right.
again. And thank you, everybody who has come along to listen to the training tonight. Really appreciate you coming and spending the time.